and today, as you guys can tell by the title, I'm going to be doing how I pass my college classes using my study techniques that I found work for me. They may not work for everybody, which is just a given. Like, you just gotta try things out and see if it works for you. It's worth a shot to at least try some of these techniques if you haven't already. I mean, if they don't work, then just try another one. But yeah, this is my technique, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's begin. So being in college, I've been in college for 2 years now. This is my sophomore year. It is flying by, I kid you not. This is the end of my sophomore year. Crazy. In freshman year, it was really hard for me to adapt to like how to study because obviously college level courses are way harder than in high school. Nothing will prepare you really unless you take like college level classes in high school. But college is a different game plan, like beyond different. The amount of expectations they have for you to remember things is like up there. But slowly throughout the year, I have found what works best for me. And something that I do want to disclaim is different courses require different study techniques, and there's just no one study technique that I use because, for example, biology, I use way different study techniques than for, say, English class. And some people can use the same technique and it works for them. I don't know if I'm the only person that does that, but I highly doubt I am, to be really honest. So let's start with my first technique. So technique number one is I use a lot of flashcards. Flashcards are my life. And I know I used to think they're so useless at times because it's like you write these flashcards and you take so much time writing them and then like you're never going to use them again. And it just feels like a waste of time, to be really honest. It still does, but it helps so much. I can't even explain how much it helps. I used to use a lot of Quizlet, and there's nothing wrong with Quizlet. I still feel like I can use it because I like that Quizlet allows you to like do practice tests and like to write it out sometimes and to match it up. Like, there's just so much Quizlet offers. It's just, I feel like I like to write things a little bit more because it is a well-known fact. It is a fact at this point that writing things out helps you remember better than typing. This is my physics flashcards. I'll just give you guys an example. So here it's stuff like equations, and then on the back, like, I just have the equations that I need to know and what it goes with. So that was my last year's flashcards. That was when I took Physics 1. Now I'm taking Physics 2, and my flashcards changed a little bit. That's because now I like to do calligraphy, and I find that homework and studying can be very boring, I understand, so I try to put things into it that make it a little bit more fun for me. I know a lot of people are going to judge me and say you're doing too much and there's no need to do all that, but I try to combine something that I love and something that I don't really necessarily like into one so that it's not as boring. So I do calligraphy on my note cards now, which is crazy, I know, but I enjoy it. So this is what it looks like now. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, whichever flashcard you use, you're gonna pass your test if you're using this to study. Like, it just for me is more fun to do it this way, so I personally like to do it like this, but it really doesn't make a difference, obviously. It's just good to make flashcards to study for. My second tip for studying is make practice tests. Those are the best. I don't understand why I never used to do that before. It's basically coming up with questions that you think will be on the test, or if your teachers do give you study guides, I would use what they gave on that study guide and kind of make questions based off of that and then answer the questions. And when I mean make a practice test, I mean physically write out that practice test. Or if you don't want to, you can type it. But like I said, handwriting things is just way better. So here is a review test for my bio nutrition class. And for this one, I put the questions and answers on the same page. Usually, I would put just the questions and then have like a separate page that's the answer key. But because we did this in class as a review session, I had no time, so I just did that. My third technique is doing study groups with friends. I just started this semester, my sophomore year, and it has helped so much because if you don't understand a topic, it's most likely that maybe one of your other friends understand it a little bit better, so they can explain it to you, and also you guys can quiz each other. It also keeps you focused at times, because if you have somebody that is like serious about their schoolwork, then when you're studying with them, they're going to keep you on task and studying too. So really, study groups are very, very good, and I highly recommend them with the right person. Do it with somebody that's serious. Don't do it with somebody that's just playing around, because then you guys are just going to talk the whole time and not actually study. But if you do it with somebody that is actually serious and wants to study and get a good grade, it'll work perfectly, and you guys will start acing your tests. My fourth technique isn't necessarily a technique on how to study, but it's a technique on how to like be organized so that you're prepared to study, and that is by using planners. Oh my goodness, when you're in college, the amount of things that are going to be due is like insane. I don't know how people memorize it at the top of their heads and never write things down, because I kid you not, I have like probably like 4 or 5 things due the same day, and I'm like, yeah, if I didn't write this down, I would have never remembered. But it is really, really good to use a planner and to make sure that you are writing things down. So something that I like to do is color coordinate my classes and highlight them according to like which course is which. So for example, here I like to put things that I need to do for the day, and then I'll have boxes next to them and I'll check it off every time I finish something. And then at the bottom, I like to have things that are actually due this day, or things that I'm like planning to do. So for example, my macroeconomics quiz was due on Monday the 2nd, and then I also had a study session that I was planning to do on the 22nd too. You definitely don't have to color coordinate it. I just do. I tend to color coordinate a lot of things, so that's just my preference. In high school, I never used planners because I would just never actually take out my planner after school and look at it. So if you don't like planners and you find that you never tend to use them, if you have a MacBook, I don't know if it works for all computers. I think it does, like I would just test it out. But for me, something that I found this year, literally this semester, is sticky notes on MacBooks. So something that I like to do is start my week off by going through what is due this week and writing it all down here so that I know, and I'll tend to put the date if it necessarily has one that goes with it. So this is due Monday and this is due Tuesday, and then for get it done today, it's just things that I personally feel like I need to get done, and looking at this to see if anything's due, I'll make sure it's up here. I understand a lot of people don't use planners. I used to not use them, but if you use your computer every day, then that's definitely a handy technique that you can use. So number 5 is get tutoring and talk to your professors. A lot of people hate doing both of these, and they just never do because they either fear being tutored makes them look dumb, or talking to your teachers is just a scary thing to do. But I promise you, it helps so much. For me, and possibly a lot of other schools, tutoring is free, so use it to your advantage. The people that are tutoring are very smart in that subject as to why they're tutoring in that subject, and they're very good at explaining sometimes. Like if your teacher talks too fast or just explains a different way, tutors can sometimes like bring it down to our understanding and just make it a lot easier to comprehend. So I highly recommend tutors. I use them all the time, like whether it's just before a test to like have them go over topics that I find really hard, or just going to them frequently after a subject that I just don't understand. Talking to your professors. I know it's a pretty scary thing and a lot of people don't like to do it, but a lot of professors highly recommend talking to them, and people still won't do it. Majority of the professors are there to help you. They are getting paid to teach you and help you understand a topic. And so a lot of them enjoy when they have students come in and ask them questions. So I highly recommend talking to your professors, because sometimes if they taught it a different way in lecture, they sometimes can explain it a little bit differently when you meet with them one-on-one, and they can explain it a lot slower and just help you fully understand it. It definitely does help. So my 5th technique is ways on how I take notes, and there's just so many different ways to take notes in each class, and it varies all the time. So one thing that I find very, very helpful is if you have like a computer or a tablet, if your teacher posts the PowerPoints always download them on your computer or on your iPad. Because my next tip to you is when you're in the class, if your teacher does upload the PowerPoints, instead of writing what is on the PowerPoint, which everybody wants to do, and it's very hard not to do that, focus on what the teacher is saying instead of writing verbatim what's on the PowerPoint. Because if you have access to the PowerPoint, then you can always go home and study the PowerPoint separately. Something that I realized my biology teacher used to always do is things that she would focus a lot of time on or constantly be repeating is things that would be on the test. So if I was too busy writing what the PowerPoints were saying, like I wouldn't hear what she was saying as much. As well as you think you are good at multitasking, some of the things will just slip your brain sometimes. So if you're really focusing on the teacher rather than the PowerPoints at times, then you will understand like they're really focusing on this one topic. That means it's most likely going to be on the test. So then you highlight in your notes like, okay, focus on for a while, so maybe I should know this a little bit more. Things like that definitely helps, because sometimes they don't even notice that they're doing it, and sometimes they do it on purpose, and that's just because it's going to be on the test. It's very important and they want you to know it. So although I am technically writing when it comes to taking notes on my iPad, I still like to go home and rewrite my notes. Writing and repetition definitely does help you learn. Writing things out just allows your brain to obtain it a lot easier, and repetition, you're just going over and over and over until you finally get it. I only like to rewrite my notes when I fully understand what I am learning, so I like to go over my notes over and over and over again until I teach myself everything, and then I like to rewrite it, because when you're rewriting it, it'll be like quizzing yourself in a way almost. So for me, I do like to rewrite my notes a little bit fancy. I like the calligraphy and the color coordinating. A lot of people don't have to do this. Just rewrite your notes. Writing it out is definitely helpful, but like I said, I like to combine the things that I like with studying, and calligraphy for me definitely is something that I enjoy. So it does take a little bit longer, but it's worth it for me because I like to do it, and studying does take a lot of time regardless, so might as well do it the way I like. Last but not least, this isn't really a study technique, but it's just something that I recently found helps me. It's a clipboard that is a whiteboard as well. So it's just a regular clipboard, but you can write on it like it's a whiteboard. And it's amazing when you are doing study group with friends, like you can quiz them by like writing questions on here. It's just a fun way sometimes to change things up and do quizzes. Or you can draw a diagram that you have to learn in bio class or macroeconomics and then have them label it and stuff like that. It's just more interactive, hands-on. I also sometimes, if I'm doing my practice test, I will have the questions on a hard copy paper, and then I will write my questions on here because I could just erase it quick and then do the next question and the next question. So yeah, this definitely came in handy this semester. I use it all the time now for my practice tests and study groups. I find it a lot of fun, and it's just a very interactive thing that can make studying just a little bit more fun, even though there's not many ways to make studying fun. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. That will mean a lot to me. And if you guys aren't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the post notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. How I pass my classes. Use if you study. So I definitely like to. I just hit myself. A laboratory help me. Ow.